Hi guys, today we're going to do section 2.3 and like I was saying in class, it's going to build upon sections 2.1 and 2.2 that we've already done. So up at the top, right, section 2.3, we're going to be solving multi-step equations, and I think we have about 4 parts in this lesson, so it's a little lengthy. Part 1, equations and the distributive property. There are 2 methods. I'm going to show you both, and the first one I tend to like better if you can always do it. It doesn't work all the time though. So let me pull up my pen. Easy teach. Okay, here we go. So the equality property way says that we look at what's on the other side of our equal sign, this 28 that's over here, and if we can divide it by this 4 that's outside the parentheses, we can do it all in one shot like this. Divide by 4, divide by 4. And you only want to do this if it's equals, this comes out to a whole number. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Those 2 cancel out. You're left with x plus 3. So now we're down to a one-step equation. You're just going to subtract 3 to both sides, and you get x equals 4. Okay, so this is one way to solve it. If you see that 4 is being multiplied to everything inside, you can divide 4 across the whole equation. The other way, which you're probably a little bit more familiar with, would be, oh, you see this, you want to distribute. So we're going to distribute the 4 to everything inside our parentheses. You get 4x plus 3, oh, no, plus 12, plus 12, equals 28. Almost forgot to distribute my 4. Now you're at a 2-step equation. This is what we were practicing in class. You subtract 12. 4x equals, when you do 28 minus 12, you get 16. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 4. So notice we get the same answer. However, the distributive property way is useful, and this is like your key idea here, is useful when the number outside the parenthesis is not a factor of the constant on the other side of the equal sign. Like I was saying, the 28 was easily divisible by 4, and then you want to do it that way. So let's look at some more problems. Okay, let me just take a peek down here. We're not going to do all these. Okay, let's do 2 more problems, and then we will go on to part 2. So here, number 1, we look 22. I can easily divide by -2, so that's what I'm going to do, because it gets me to the answer a little bit faster. And in math, we like to get to the answer faster. 22 divided by -2 is -11, and we're left with y minus 3. Then we add 3 to both sides. We get y, and notice I'm going to bring that over to the left side, equals -3, -11 plus 3. So what I'm going to do is subtract them, and you get 8, and it's negative because 11 is bigger than 3. Again, you may use a calculator for each problem. All right, so the next one, here we go, number 2. We're going to, I'm going to distribute this one because I don't know if 3.2 can easily go into 4.8 off the top of my head. If you want, you can use a calculator and check. But let's do the distributive to practice that way as well. So we have 3.2x plus 3.2 times 3.7 gives me 11.84 equals 4.8. Then we undo any addition or subtraction. We subtract 11.84 from both sides. Remember, if you don't have a calculator, your decimals should line up. 3.2x equals, when you do 4.8 minus 11.84, you get -7.04. Divide both sides by 3.2. Cancel out. Divided by 3.2. X equals -2.2. Delete. -2.2. Okay. Part 2. Solving equations that contain fractions. And how to do this, notice I have a key here because that's your key idea. You want to clear the fractions by multiplying everything in the whole equation by the least common denominator, your LCD. So let me explain. In number 1, we have this 4 here, and we have a 3. And I really don't want to deal with the fractions. So the way to deal with that is if I had to make those have a common denominator, it would be 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by 12. I'm going to multiply this by 12. And I'm going to multiply this by 12. Everything, notice how everything was underlined here. Everything by the LCD. When you multiply this first fraction by 12, the 4 and the 12 are going to cancel out. They're going to become 1 and 3. So you're left with 3 times 3, 9x. Bringing down my minus. 1/3 times 12, the 3 and the 12 can cancel out. You get a 1 and you get a 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 12 times 10, 120. This equation here, much easier than the one with the fractions. Now I add 4 to both sides. 9x equals 124. Divide both sides by 9. X equals 124 divided by 9. 13.7 repeating. And notice there's an 8 in your calculator. That's because your calculator is rounding it. But please use the bar for bar notation to show that it's repeating. Okay, let's try one more like that because I'm sure that you were not too sure on how to clear out those fractions. Okay, number 2. I have a 5 and I have a 4, and I know that the common denominator would be 20. So I'm going to multiply this by 20. I'm going to multiply this by 20. And I'm going to multiply this by 20. Okay, when you multiply 2m over 5 by 20, this is like 20 over 1. The 5 and the 20 are going to cancel out. They're going to become 1 and 4. So on the bottom, you have 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8m, because you still have the m there. Bring down my plus. 4 and 20, it's like 20 over 1. The 4 and the 20 can cancel out to 1 and 5. So on the bottom, we have 1 times 1, which is 1. 5 times 3m is 15m. Equals 3 times 20 is 60. Now, notice you see two variables, so you have to combine like terms. 15 plus 8 is 23, so 8 monkeys plus 15 monkeys is 23 monkeys. So you can't, what's going on here? Hold on, click around here with my pen. 23m equals 60. Okay, divide both sides by 23. M equals 60 divided by 23. Okay, we're going to estimate that. We're going to say it's 2.6 approximately because we had to round. There's no repeating there. So again, you're going to use the LCD to cancel out and then combine like terms and divide out. Okay, so part 3. We're doing solving equations that contain decimals now. And notice I have another box for you, a key box, that says clear the decimals by multiplying everything by a power of 10. So our whole idea here is to clear things out and make our equation much easier to work with. What I mean on this one, and I think I'm only going to do one of these just for the lack of time. This is 1 decimal out. This is 3 decimals out. We want to move it out 3. And this one is 2 decimals out. So you want to figure out which one is the largest. Well, 3 is the largest. So that would mean I need to multiply everything by 1,000 because 1,000 has the 3 zeros and we'll move this 3 decimal places out. So I'm going to multiply this by 1,000. Notice all of this works, multiplying things, as long as you do it to everything because you're keeping it still balanced in that equation. If you think of that scale that I showed you in class. So what this means is I'm going to move this 3 places. 1, 1, 2, 3. So this is going to become 500x. Bring down your minus. Move this 3 places, 1, 2, 3. 2,325 equals 3 places, 1, 2, 3. 3,950. Okay, so they're big numbers, but that's okay. Now it's a two-step equation. Add 2,325 to both sides. $500x equals 3,950 plus 2,325, 6,275. Divide both sides by 500. And you get 12.55. X equals 12.55. And that's it. And we will practice all this stuff in class. I know it's a lot. All right, have a good night.